Okay, so let's get started. So let's take a simple seat, and why don't you grab a belt today? So you're going to take both legs through the belt. And you're going to place it right above your knees, a couple of inches. And the belt is not, notice he doesn't have the buckle touching his skin. The buckle's in the middle. But the belt, show them when you really cinch it down, Eddie, what it does when you make it really tight. So he's not using the belt to hold his knees together in a really tight way, but he's just using the belt to support his knees. So it's just as tight as his normal seat would be. But what the belt does, it allows your groins to soften. It allows your thighs to drop a little bit easier. And so it gives you that extra little bit of support. And if you have it too tight, it's not going to give you that effect. So you have to be really specific with it. And if you need to take a little bit of extra padding under your buttocks so that your knees start to drop, go ahead and do that. And then bring your hands to your thighs. Apply gentle pressure on your thighs and lift your chest. Join your palms together in front of your heart. Close your eyes from top to bottom. Turn your attention in. Put the outside world on hold. Bring your intelligence, your awareness, your attention onto yourself. And take a slow, smooth, even inhalation. Om Karabindu Samyutam
Om Karabindu Samyutam
Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha
Nityam Dhyayanti Yogenaha
Kamadam Moksharam Chaiva
Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva
Om Karaya Namo Namaha
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 Drop your thighs down. Relax your inner groins. Press your sitting bones into your support. Lift your chest. Drop your shoulders. Gently bow your head down. Bring your hands down, palms up. Raise your head with closed eyes. And slowly open those eyes. Take the belt off. Pick up a chair and a bolster for Prasarita Padottanasana. So welcome to those of you who joined us during the chant. We're happy that you're here. So you don't need a yoga chair. Excuse me, you can have any type of chair, but you're going to put a bolster on the chair the long way. Now, if you have a chair with bars on the back, like a dining room chair, you'll just turn the bolster horizontal and that'll be fine. So Eddie's going to start by coming to Prasarita Padottanasana, taking his feet wide, 4.5 feet. And he's going to line his heels up with the back edge of the mat. And this just ensures that his feet are in the same plane. So he's putting the back edge of his heel on the back edge of the mat. He's going to be really specific about making his feet parallel. So the outer edge of his feet parallel to the outer edge of your mat. Good. And then before you go down, I want you to really look at your outer ankles today. The outer ankles tend to pop out to the side, especially if you're beginning yoga. The outer feet take the weight. I want you to press your inner feet. Good. And then bring your top chest. Eddie, show them where they're going to put their chest. It's above the breast tissue to the collarbone. So it's not in your chest. It's not in your abdomen. It's in your very, very upper chest. That hits the bolster. And then you turn your head and reach for the outer edge of your ear, either side. Square your chest off and then let your arms hang. A lot of you have a bar in the front of the chair. You can rest your arms on the bar. You can rest your arms just hanging on the floor. And you can even wrap them around the outer edges of the chair legs and rest them on the back bar. So you decide what supports you today. And then grip your thighs, activate your legs. So when you grip your thighs, your kneecaps take a little jump up towards your hips. Go with that. And then bring your awareness back to your feet. So this is a restorative class, but in restorative class, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no effort. So I want you to bring the effort into your legs. Really ask for that sense of strength, stability, foundation. Don't allow the legs to become soft. And if you feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on the outer edges of your feet, I want you to roll your thighs from outside in. So if you're more beginning yoga, yoga is somewhat new to you, you're going to want to roll your thighs from outside in. Those of you who've been practicing for quite some time, you have control over your feet. I want you to roll your thighs from inside out. So I'm asking you to do this group to do two different things. So you have to decide which one suits you in this moment. And Eddie started to talk about this yesterday, but this is how we start to cultivate a personal practice. we start to look at what we need. This posture is about your feet. It's about bringing balance into both feet, into your ankles, which directly affects the health of your knees and your hips. So if you've established this beautiful foundation of strength and stability, and now I want you to let your upper body, your torso, get heavy. Allow your outer ear on the bolster to get heavy. So if you feel like you're reaching to rest your chest, all you have to do is build this bolster up. Take another blanket or two. Because you want to be able to fully let go so that there is that soft quality, that restorative quality. And if you're fighting to stay down, to keep your chest on the bolster, that quality won't come. It will just feel like a lot of effort. Madis, take a little bit more height on the bolster. Yep, and pull your chair in. Yeah. And as you stay here, allow the skin of your face to move with gravity. So you may feel like your jowls or your cheeks are being pulled towards the floor, so that there's no gripping in your face. Good. Now change the direction that your head is facing. Place your hands on the chair seat. Lift your chest and head. Turn your head. Reach for the opposite outer ear. Really take the turn of the head as best you can. Place it down on the bolster. And now some of you were able to maintain your legs throughout that entire time, but some of you need to check back in. If you feel like your feet are sliding on the mat, take them closer. Make the necessary adjustments in this transition that you need to, and then go inward. Get still again. Press your inner feet. Kelly K, press your left inner foot more. Let your arms become very heavy. If any of you have children, you know this, and I only know it because I have little nieces and a nephew. that when they sleep, they fall asleep in the car and you have to take them up to their bed. They're like a little limp noodle. They're like dead weight. See if you can let your arms become that limp noodle, that dead weight that just hangs, that where there's no effort whatsoever. Let your face go soft. If you find tension in your lips, in your mouth, it's always a good idea to wet them, to wet your lips and just puff a little bit of air behind your lips where they meet your teeth. This will help you to soften your face, to relax your efforts. Check in with your legs and grip your thighs. And keep that strong foundation, because for those of you who have SI joint imbalances, you struggle with one side of your lower back, this pose can actually create an adjustment for you when you come out of it. But there has to be effort in the legs. Now very slowly take your hands to the chair seat. Press yourself up, heel toe your feet in, and come to Tadasana. Join your feet just for a moment. Grip your buttocks from the outside in, elongate your lower back. Drop your tailbone, lift your chest. Yes, good. Now move the chair off to the side. We're going to need it after this next pose. We're going to take downward dog at the wall. So you're going to see it on Eddie from a different angle than you're used to, but you'll be just fine. So Eddie, open your hands to the screen so they can see what your hands will look like. So you're going to take your hands to the wall and you're going to turn them out so that the thumb tips and the index fingertips touch the wall. Your head will come to the bolster. If you're familiar with the pose, you can get in. If you're not, watch Eddie. He's going to take his mat to the wall. And then his bolster. And then he's going to open his hands to the wall. So they go right as he showed you, right at the crease of the wall and the floor. He'll walk his legs back, and then he's going to place the top of his head on the bolster. So you can actually see it right through his legs from this angle, that the top of his head rests on the bolster. Most of you are in. Go ahead and join him if you're not. And again, you're looking for that connection. The connection that comes with your head and the bolster. And if you're reaching your head and trying to get it to touch that bolster, and it's not quite happening for you, build up the bolster. Put a couple of blankets on top of it. Especially those of you with the lower, more rectangle bolsters, you might need to add a little bit of height. Because ultimately, if I asked you to let go of your arms and to just rest the top of your head and let your arms not be involved at all, you want to be able to do that. I'm not going to ask you that today, but if I did, you would want that connection to be so firm that you would be able to. Those of you who are dealing with heightened amounts of anxiety, this is a wonderful place for you to come, where there's a strong effort in your arms and your legs, but a deep, strong connection in your head. Let your brain get heavy. Release the thoughts of the outside world. Allow yourself to turn in to yourself. The arms press, but they're not pressing their strongest. Your legs are straight, but the heels may not come to the floor, and they don't need to. They can be somewhat buoyant here. Close your eyes. And the hands will split open a little bit wider. It's okay. See if you can remain in a state of strength, stability, while cultivating a state of softening. Keep everything where it is and take your heels out wider than your toes. Just a couple of inches, so that there is an internal rotation of your thighs that you don't have to work for, but that the feet create for you. We're staying just another minute. So in this minute, how much can you let go in your brain? How much can you let go in your face, your facial features, as our teacher calls it, including the forehead, the cheeks, your chin, your eyes. Now bend your knees to the floor. Take that bolster in, widen your knees, bring your big toes to touch, and rest on the bolster. Take your forehead to your, either the bolster or to your arms. You can cross your arms on the bolster and either rest your forehead on your hands or your forearms. Drops your hips. And without pressing your forehead into whichever support you've taken, simply allow it to become heavier and heavier. Now bring your hands under your shoulders. Press yourself up. And get 2 bolsters and a belt. We're taking Setu Bandha, Sarvangasana. And a lot of you are used to this variation, but I'm going to change one thing with the belt. So I want you to watch. So you're going to take 2 bolsters in a vertical line. You're going to get a belt. And normally we belt the ankles and we belt the ankles loosely so the feet can roll out. Today I want you to belt the ankles, but I want you to belt them a little bit more loosely so that your heels start to come to the outsides of the bolster so that they hang off the sides. So I'm going to talk Eddie through it. I think he's got it. So it causes an inner rotation of the thighs. Yes, perfect. And then once you have that, he has little bolsters, so his heels are on the floor. Your heels probably won't be on the floor. So he's going to lie down. He's going to push himself back until his shoulders come to the floor. With his shoulders firm, he'll take that extra push, and then he's going to straighten his legs. And he's going to let his heels hang off. So you can see they're coming off the sides of the bolster and not resting on top. Make sure the buckle's not touching your skin. And even encourage that inner rotation of your thighs. One adjustment that you could do is to grab your outer hamstring on either side and pull it out. So if you go one at a time, if you have shorter arms, it's easier to go one at a time. Yeah. And you'll really be able to make that inner rotation a little bit stronger. That's it. Make sure that your shoulders are firm. So if you have to take that extra little push back to put your shoulders really firmly on the floor, that will create the nurturing quality of this pose. Let your arms come out to the sides, palms face up. The back of your head rests on the floor. And the lift of the bolster allows your sternum to move towards your chin. Now, I asked you in the first couple of poses to allow the skin of your face to move with gravity, to allow it to be pulled towards the floor. I want you to bring that same quality into this pose. But it will feel a little bit different. So the cheeks will be pulled towards your ears. And though it's already tight, your forehead skin, not tight as in like wrinkled or pursed, but it's stretched across the front of your skull. Allow it to move from the center line of your face towards the floor, so that there's a real softening of the space between your brow. A real softening of your temple skin. And then anytime you feel that connection of your inner lips to your teeth, you can push a little bit of air, puff a little bit of air behind those lips to bring about a state of total calmness, softening. You worked in the beginning of this practice. There was effort. Now, I want you to let that go and allow the props to hold you. Allow the pose to be the nurturer. Some of you will feel a slipping in and out of sleep. Allow yourself to go with this ebb and flow of consciousness. And some of you will feel the body asleep, still, unmoving, and the mind awake, lucid, clear. And then others of you will feel the stillness of the body, but the movement of the mind. The distractions come, the thoughts. That take you out of this present moment. The restorative practice teaches us more strongly about being present. It has a stronger hand with us, as when you become still, when you're not in effort, the mind has other places to go. It has other agendas to attend to. So your practice in those moments is to call yourself back, to simply acknowledge the thoughts, to even name them, and those namings can be a simple one word or simply saying to yourself that you're in the past or that you're in the future. Acknowledge that without judgment. And then call yourself back to this moment by observing your breath, by bringing your attention into something that is real right now. Our past is our past. It's gone, it's done. Our future isn't real. There's no guarantee of what will happen moment after moment after moment. And the Yoga Sutras tell us that this practice is to help us calm the agitations, the fluctuations of the mind. So with that in mind, can you train yourself to stay here? As Ram Dass so very simply put it, be here now. So simple. And the most simple of things are oftentimes the most difficult. But every time you call yourself back, you flex that muscle of being in the present. and you build that muscle over time. And those of you who are diligent with that practice will realize that the present moment brings you more freedom than any other moment. Now very slowly bend your knees. Take the belt off your ankles. Roll to your right side, coming all the way off that bolster. Rest on your side. Turn down to come up. Now you're going to take one of those bolsters to the wall. So Eddie's going to turn his mat. Actually, he's going to get rid of his mat because you don't need the mat. We're taking another variation of the same pose. So you're going to get rid of your mat. You're going to want space at the wall. You're going to take a bolster and angle it up the wall. And then you're going to take the other bolster and you're going to, so the bolster on the wall is horizontal. The second bolster is vertical, in line, so it makes like a T. And that vertical bolster is close, very close to the wall. And then you're going to take the belt and you're going to measure it on the your frontal hip bones. So you're going to make a loop. And you're going to measure that loop on your frontal hip bone. So not on the flesh on the outside of the hips, but on the inside of the hips, the fronts of the legs. Good. This belt is going to go around your big toes today. So you're going to sit on the edge of the vertical bolster. And Eddie's going to be blocking the view with his back for a moment, but it will unfold when he lies down. So he's going to sit on the edge of the bolster. He's going to belt his big toes. Those of you familiar with this pose, you're welcome to go in. Those of you who want to see it, you just watch. And then he's going to go into it the same way you went into the first Satchubandha. He's going to lie down on the bolster. And he's going to hold the bolster and push himself back till his shoulders come to the floor. And then once the shoulders come to the floor, he's going to straighten his legs. The belt is on his big toes. Oh, one of them came undone. That's okay. Yeah, so you can see his feet. His feet are up against the bolster. His toes are closer than his heels. So that same idea of the Satchubandha we just did, the same idea of the downward dog we did, where the heels were slightly out further than the toes. And then you can take that same adjustment of your hamstrings, where you reach down, you grab your outer hamstring and you pull it out. And then you do the other side. And you can really easily see Eddie do that. And it just creates more space between your inner thighs and the bolster and gives you more of an inner rotation. So go ahead and join him. So if you started too far away on that vertical bolster, your shoulders aren't going to hit the floor. you want to go closer and start over and really get your shoulders on the floor and then press your legs straight. Good, really nice. And once you're in, again, taking that adjustment of your outer hamstring to really assist with the inner rotation of your legs. And then before you let go, I want you to walk your shoulders underneath your back towards one another. Get a little bit more lift out of your chest. And then take your arms to the side, turn your palms up, and drop in. And if your lower back starts to speak to you in a way that is uncomfortable, you're welcome to unbelt your feet and bring your feet to the floor and let your knees rest on each other. And now very slowly open your eyes. Take your toes out of that belt. Place both feet on the floor and rest your knees on one another. So take your feet wide, rest your knees. Find that perfect spot where there's no effort in your legs, but that your knees just simply fall into one another. And then roll to your right side and come all the way off that bolster. Press yourself up and take Shavasana with a blanket under your head and a bolster under your knees. So with the bolster under your knees, let your heels rest on the floor, toes roll out. Cover yourself if you're cold. And just take a few minutes to completely let go. Surrender. And for this last minute, let go completely. Gently open your eyes. Bend your elbows and bring your hands somewhere on your torso that brings peace. Someplace where you can take a breath and exhale a sigh of relief. And then bend both knees into your chest. Roll to your right side and rest on your side. Turn down to come up. Take a simple cross-legged seat. Join your palms together in front of your heart. Take a slow, smooth, even inhalation. Namaskar.